Hi, my name's Jared Hunter. I am vegan because I care about animals, and I think most people don't understand, number one, how easy it is to go vegan, and number two, how horrific it is for animals in these factory farms and really any farm.
So I'm Zoe, and I'm 13 years old.
Okay, so how long have you been a vegan?
I think for about 3 years now, something like that.
Yeah, I'm Wes. Been vegan for about 3.5 years. Was vegetarian for about 3 years before that.
I'm Lori McLean, and I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I'm also a member of Direct Action Everywhere. So not only am I vegan, but I'm an animal rights activist.
I feel like I'm vegan for ethical aspects of it. I really agree with the idea that killing animals for food is unnecessary, and I wish I had learned that a lot sooner in life, but I learned it about 3.5 years ago.
I didn't like the way I felt. I was 250 pounds.
250 pounds?
50 pounds.
Are you kidding me?
And found out I was lactose intolerant. That helped me a lot to become vegan.
My name's Alan Bryson. I've been a vegetarian for 41 years. The last day I ate meat was the April 30th, 1975, or meat or fish. And that's a very memorable day because it's the last day of the Vietnam War. And all day long, I was hitchhiking on a long hitchhiking trip, and all day long I was hearing about the evacuation of Saigon, which I was thrilled to hear about.
I had been a vegetarian for a long time because I've always loved animals, and I just, I realized I could do less harm to them if I stopped eating them. And eventually I went vegan because I learned what happened to hens, how the egg-laying hens are never really treated that well, and dairy cows. I mean, the milk is produced for their young, and in order for us to drink it, we have to not give it to their children.
Especially with milk, we should be drinking, if we're drinking any milk, it should only be when we're babies so that we drink our own species milk, because no other species drinks another species milk. So I think that it's kind of cruel to take the meat and the dairy products from animals.
Because you're literally stealing it from a calf. In order to get that, I used to think the cows just produce the milk and everything was hunky-dory, but it doesn't. In order to produce that milk, they have to have a calf. They have to be impregnated, and then you have to give birth to that baby. Then you have to have that baby ripped away from them. And as Dr. Clapper says, milk is baby cow growth food. It's designed to grow a cow from 35-pound calf into a 500-pound cow within a year. Baby cow growth food, you don't want it. It's not meant for you. You shouldn't have it. You shouldn't be stealing it from the cow.
10 years ago, I didn't know I could feel this good. And about maybe a little more than 10 years ago, I was 250 pounds. And I didn't think I was going to live very long.
I wasn't feeling really great. I was retired. I was feeling a little sluggish, kind of hanging around. Went to a doctor, had an EKG. There's some fibs and flubs. Ended up at a cardiologist's office. He wanted to put me on some medicines. I said, no, thank you. Went to see a naturopathic physician. And he said, hey, just for a month, why don't you try this? Why don't you read this really nice book? It's called The Engine 2 Diet. It's all plant-based food. There's nothing pokey about it. It's all really good. And said, well, I can do anything for a month. And after a number of months, the cardiologist said, I hate to tell you, but looking at all your blood work and everything, if more people did what you're doing, I'd be out of business.
But I became vegan. I was vegetarian a long, long time before I really saw the light and turned vegan 5 years ago. It's way easier than people realize and so spiritually rewarding.
For me, I actually watched the film Videotaped on Netflix, and I saw how the people in that film were able to try veganism and really love it, and they were able to stick with it, and they saw so many positive things start to happen in their lives, and overall they were doing something that was not only good for themselves but also for the animals as well.
The protein myth, we call it. So many vegetables have protein, even more protein than meat. And a lot of people don't understand that the protein you eat versus the protein you absorb from certain foods are different. So if you eat a stalk of broccoli, you're getting a ton of protein and you're absorbing it in a different way than you would from a steak.
Everybody tells you, oh, you're going to die of protein malnutrition, because apparently, who knew? Apparently, vegans are just dying in the streets of protein malnutrition. You see them, you have to step over their bodies. But you don't, because they are healthier than the people who eat meat and eat fish and eat eggs and eat chicken and eat all those things that are harmful, very harmful.
And I've done the research. I've even gone on PubMed and read some studies, and like there's really doesn't seem to be anything to worry about as long as you're not eating just like white bread and donuts or something. You're pretty good, you know. Eat your vegetables, but that's true for anyone, you know. Eat your vegetables, eat some fruit, you know.
There's beans, tofu, lots of veggies. Really, your body's getting protein from almost everything you eat. So the myth that you cannot get protein without meat is completely bonkers.
For going vegan, like there's all these really great like fake meats and stuff. Like I ate so much Gardein products. Stop and Shop sells them, and they're not that expensive, and they're like they have orange chicken, they have beef, like what are they called, kebabs, and all kinds of great stuff. And so that really helped me out a lot.
It's the way. It's the way. It's just that the animal agricultural lobby is so powerful in this country that they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that you don't need animal protein. Your body's not designed to utilize it well. It shuts down the system. It's the cigarette smoking of today.
I've been vegetarian since I was 11, 25, and I've lived a semi-vegan lifestyle for a long time, but not completely, and it actually has just been like 2 months that I've decided, and I'm like fully vegan now. I think the greatest thing that I've learned so far is just a deeper connection with food in general, and I'm in recovery from an eating disorder, and when I first started to recover, I didn't even know how to grocery shop, and then I slowly started to learn that, and I kind of learned about food, but being vegan, you know, things are not as instantly accessible to you, so you have to put more energy, more thought, and more planning into it.
Do you feel like you're a better cook?
Oh yeah, I'm like getting way better. It's crazy. I used to just think I was terrible, but I probably was. But but I like to look up recipes online. There are some things that are like go-tos. I know how to cook because I've been vegetarian for so long, and so they were just vegan meals anyway. But now I find myself looking more at like the alternative sources of protein, and like in the grocery store, and I'll be inspecting them and thinking, okay, what can I do with this?
But it's a joyful thing when you realize you can be healthy and happy and do less harm. You know, it's a great thing.
Well, I think the backstory is that I was vegetarian for about 17 years, and there were things that I couldn't give up, like my half and half and this and that. So I had literally stopped eating animals when I heard a program by Gary Nolan Day who talked about the factory farm process, and I was horrified, and I just said, I'll never give them any money.
I learned about like the abuses of animals that are produced for food many years ago, but I was under the misconception that, well, even though this was a very horrific part of life, it was necessary because we had to eat animals to be healthy. I bought into that, including from misinformation from my doctors back then, and went happily on my way for many, many years with that notion. And then as I was really trying to learn how to cook vegetarian and vegan food, I just did more and more reading and discovered that, wow, not only is it not necessary to kill animals for food, it's actually, we're much better off if we don't, health-wise and from the environment. So, wow, once I learned that, it was a very liberating thing, and I've never looked back since.
Once I became vegan, I decided to become an animal rights activist because I realized that there is no nice way to exploit animals.
I have some friends who are vegan and they have a vegan potluck at their house, and before I made the decision to become vegan, I went to it and we had a little cacao ceremony after the potluck, and we went around and kind of said like intentions and told each other things about ourselves, and hearing how many people were talking about their passion for the environment and animals and connecting it to veganism, it made it seem like, where is the disconnect between my vegetarianism and becoming vegan? If I care about animals this way, why am I not taking the extra step and not consuming animal products because they're being mistreated, not only if they're killed?
Recognizing that it's injustice, and injustice to animals is similar to injustice to minorities, to women, such and so forth.
It promotes peace on the planet. I think, a vegan diet promotes peace. They've shown this, if they go to prisons and they give them a vegan diet, it's amazing. The fighting stops.
And, if we can reverse what might be the most basic injustice, because it's so ubiquitous every day, people are participating in the abuse of animals. If we can get rid of that, then I think we have a much better prospect of correcting the other problems too.
It's not hard for me to be vegan because I don't really like dairy anyways, and I haven't eaten meat. I've always been vegetarian. But the hard thing is that I do get teased a lot. I have to just stand up and be like, well, this is what I want to do, and I don't really care what you think.
I just think people should do what go with their own conscience, like do what they're comfortable with. Change. If you look at dairy cows and you say this is making me uncomfortable, then make a change. If you look at egg-laying hens and you say, well, I'm fine with getting eggs from the farmer down the street, and that's your decision, do it. I mean, I'm not going to say everyone should just do what I'm doing. I think people have to take things at their own pace.
You'll be amazed at how great you feel. Amazed, and it won't take that long. It will take a while to retrain your taste buds. And you'll try, and you'll fail, and you'll try, and you'll get a little farther, and you'll try again, and you'll get a little, and then finally, someday, you will declare that you are vegan.
If you change your dietary habits, that's a great place to start. And truthfully, the easiest thing to do probably is breakfast. So try to research vegan breakfasts.
Yeah.
And make that change first. See how it works for you for a week or two. Then just add in, as you learn things, add in new dishes. Maybe at lunchtime, maybe at dinner. You don't have to do it all at once, but you know what? As you eat more vegan food, it's going to crowd out the non-vegan food that you're eating, the animals that you're eating, and before you know it, it's just going to be part of your routine, and you start reaping the benefits of it.
So from there, I just followed groups online. Didn't know another person till I went to Mary Lawrence Veg Up meeting or one of the meetups, and I met my first person who was vegan in real life, and she actually came from my hometown. And it's all been good from there.
Well, I think there's a couple that are really good books. One is called the 30-Day Vegan Challenge. It's by Colleen Patrick Gaudreau, and that has the whole package. It's the rationale for going vegan. It's lists of resources, including recipes, and she really takes you through it day by day for 30 days, and that's a nice structured program. But the Main Street Vegan by Victoria Moran, which I know you've used, Lynne, is likewise nice, simple book and full of practical information. I think it really is true, what they say about in order to eat animals, you have to disconnect from your basic nature that says that you should be kind to everybody. And once you stop eating animals and you feel like that disconnect is gone, that contradiction is gone, it's a great feeling.
And I find that I feel so good.
So it's making my relationship with food more spiritual and healthy.
So at any rate, yes, it's great to be vegan. It's wonderful, wonderful foods to eat, and you don't feel deprived at all. You feel better.
Ultimately, for me, it's all about just like joy. You know, like it's so great. I can eat healthy foods and not do any harm and be happy. It's like there's no downside. It's like the best thing ever. You know.